The landmass of Cuba is often assumed to be fully controlled by Havana. It isn't. A slice of the southern coast, Guantanamo Bay, has hosted a United States naval base since 1903, even during the darkest years of hostility between Cuba and the U.S., even at the height of Fidel Castro's power. This territory was never taken back, which raises a blunt question: why not? Why didn't Castro and revolutionary Cuba move to reclaim Guantanamo and make the island whole? To understand that, you have to rewind to the 19th century. In its final decades, Cubans rose up against Spanish rule, believing independence would mean total control of their territory. It didn't. Their rebellion pulled in the United States. After a major warship sank, American pressure to push Spain out of the Western Hemisphere surged. Many in the U.S. wanted Spain gone from Cuba. That did not mean they wanted Cuba to be truly independent. To calm fears of annexation, Congress passed the Teller Amendment, declaring that the U.S. could intervene but could not permanently take Cuba. But banning full annexation is not the same as banning selective control. During the Spanish-American War, American planners saw Guantanamo Bay as strategically perfect. Its deep harbor and location offered rapid access across the Caribbean and a forward position to monitor European influence. After Spain's defeat, the U.S. occupied Cuba and promised to withdraw once a new government was formed. Independence came with conditions. The Platt Amendment granted Washington the right to intervene in Cuban affairs and secured the permanent lease of Guantanamo Bay. Cuba accepted under pressure. In 1903, the U.S. built the base and began leasing the territory for a symbolic annual payment. For decades, the United States intervened when instability threatened and steadily expanded its economic influence. This continued into the Cold War under Fulgencio Batista, a ruler backed by Washington. The presence of the Guantanamo base meant American support was always close. As Batista's regime grew more brutal, resistance turned into armed rebellion. Among the fractured opposition, the most disciplined force was Fidel Castro's July 26th movement. By 1958, rebels controlled large areas of the island. After the U.S. cut off weapons to Batista, his regime collapsed. He fled. Castro's coalition entered Havana. The revolution had succeeded. Power consolidated quickly. Castro sidelined rivals, reshaped the government, and dismantled political opposition. Elections were promised, then hollowed out, then abandoned. Cuba became a one-party state. The new leadership rejected the legitimacy of the Guantanamo lease, arguing it had been imposed by a foreign power on a dependent government. The United States disagreed. Washington pointed to the original agreements and refused to discuss withdrawal. Havana stopped cashing the annual lease checks and declared the base an illegal occupation. Castro wanted Guantanamo back, but he understood the cost of trying to take it. The garrison was small, but the response would not be. Any attack on the base would have triggered a direct American military intervention. In the early years of the revolution, Cuba's leadership feared invasion more than it considered expansion. That fear was justified. The U.S. imposed an embargo and prepared to remove Castro through covert means. The result was the Bay of Pigs invasion. It failed. Castro survived. His alignment with the Soviet Union hardened. That alignment led to the Cuban Missile Crisis. Nuclear weapons were placed on the island. Guantanamo became a frontline symbol. The base was reinforced. Soviet missiles were aimed at it. Castro saw the crisis as leverage and demanded the end of the embargo, an end to U.S. attempts to overthrow his government, recognition of Cuban sovereignty, and the return of Guantanamo. Washington refused. The negotiations sidelined Cuba entirely. The missiles were removed. The base remained. After that, the reality was fixed. Cuba wanted the Americans gone. The United States had no incentive to leave. The power gap made force impossible. Diplomacy offered no leverage. Guantanamo stayed. It still does. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.